Alright, welcome back. We got another Stormgate cast here, and this is a special game. This is just before the patch, and the ladder's a little bit light, and some of these players are looking for games, and this is just a custom game here being played between Yoru in the red Infernal and Grimmy aka Nina in the blue Celestial. And like I said, it's just sort of late at night before patch day, and some players want to get some games, but because there's not a lot of players on the ladder, when they queue up they get matched against folks that are not good matches, sometimes really far away in MMR. So a few of the players at the top of the ladder started chatting, hey, let's get playing some games. And this game is one of those games, and I just happened to be up late myself and able to catch them in the Discord and, you know, pretty much squat on the game while they're playing. And this is something that I really like to do, is watch high-level players play. And it reminds me a lot of some of the early days of Warcraft 3, where, you know, something similar would happen. Someone high on the ladder would be hanging out inside the chat room, and then a custom game that, you know, someone would challenge them, and all of a sudden, you know, a bunch of us would pile into a game and observe what those high-level players would bring. Of course, this was back before streaming. So far, out of both our players, just a little bit of creeping. Nina's done part of her sort of signature, you know, heavy macro early expansion move. I like that she's moved her arc ship up to these Ethereum nodes to mine them as well. Usually meaning she's going to probably upgrade to an arc station, or maybe get some other tech on the way, do some upgrades and such. And we got creeping out here from Yoru as well. And let's check back home. We got a Conclave Vault. Looks like a little bit late Shrine. And no, not that late actually. And then creeping the health camp with the help of the Fell Hog from the old meat farm. That's going to be an easy cleanup. Soaking those healing juices for a moment just to try and, you know, rebuild that creeping force. Looks like maybe also running back to get a little bit of the speed boost. Always want to go and soak in those juices. That speed boost on your units, of course, lasting 20 seconds. You can zip your way across the map. Is that where we're going, or are we going to creep a Luminite camp? Looks like that's what's on the menu right now. And yeah, out of Nina, we have some vectors. And again, vectors becoming sort of more favored among Celestials in this matchup. Luminite camp going down, and Vision camp going down with some of these first vectors coming out of our Star Forge. Okay. And no real, you know, conflict or harass yet between these two. Both, you know, working on their macro, working on their creep game. We do see an imp with another base. So even though this one I mentioned might be a little slow, which I don't think it really was, because we are fully saturated now. We got another one here that's definitely, you know, a little bit faster. So we got a third base going down. And honestly, when you're faced off with the Celestial, you want to, you know, keep up with their macro pretty well, because their macro can get a little bit snowbally. Now we got these vectors coming across the map. They're moving over towards the speed camp. They're thinking, again, that speed camp is just a really nice place on the map that these two can fight over. It looks like we have one, what was that, a Gaunt maybe going down. Good micro to target fire the Gaunt in the back, otherwise these vectors will go. Ooh, and jumping on top of the Gaunts, also killing the Hexen, a couple Gaunts go down, and the vectors are managing to just skirt out. Not yet with that recall upgrade, but I imagine it's on the way. Some pretty good harass there, taking out a bunch of Gaunts and a couple Fiends. Taking out the meat farm now. Now we have the recall upgrade and taking over the healing camp, and now this army from Yoru is going to try and come in and get some revenge on these vectors. And we got one vector going down and another one going down, although it looked like it tried to blink away. These ones are now getting on top of the Gaunts, and it looks like the vectors, even though they're in here, are a little bit too thick to get through those trees. And a couple other vectors rally this way, and they just say, well, I'm gonna zot in there too. We're living in this healing camp now. You know, the brutes can't come in, the Gaunts come in and they get slaughtered. Okay, there we go. And now they're like, alright, let's get out of here. And it looks like there had to be a little bit of micro to get them all out of there. And that might be due to just the way that the vectors are currently controlled. I have heard from Celestial players that there are a couple bugs related to how they're controlled, and it can be a little bit annoying at times. They're blinking, not blinking, they're dealt jumping right on top again, but then they decide to recall their way out, and I think that was probably smart with the effigy going down. All of a sudden, those infernal units becoming that much more, robust and hardy with that regenerating Shroud Skin White Health. Okay, these vectors doing a pretty good job to creep out the Luminite camp. Even though their attack doesn't sort of appear to do a lot of damage, we see 6+6 here. Okay, you saw how fast it's firing. Boop, 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 and a lot of them. That does a lot of damage, even though the +6 is against light, and I don't believe those creeps are light. I mean, they don't really look like light, at least the big guy, but maybe they are. Alright, the vectors moving back out, maybe looking to do a little bit more damage. And this little army, well, not so little army, but out of position army, unfortunately. A couple out of position or rallying units, including a Weaver, get taken out. A couple more Weavers. Ouch, this is not good. Now those Weavers, which are normally very tanky units, they take their light units, and so these vectors that I was just commenting on with their bonus damage towards light, and now the vectors are right inside on top of the Summon Shroud Stone, and well, now facing off against Fell Hogs, and not exactly where you want your damage to go. And wow, okay, scan, I like that, beautiful move, scanning to the other side and then doing the teleport. Now getting on top of this base too, but having to realize that of course the rest of that army is gonna slowly come around. Oh, and they recall back. Wow, that's part of the ability of the vectors, is able to recall back to where they blinked away last time, even if they were quite far away. That allows them to do this kind of rotation harass really well. Blinking here. Now that was an aggressive blink, and then we see the recall ability being used to again. Now they're maybe trying to get out, and it might have been better for them to blink through the trees like they did last time with the scan, because a few of them going down with little partial surrounds. Now they're still here for the harass, and there we go, blinking through the trees again with another scan. I think the Purified that went down there was a misclick. They're out of there, but now we have Scythes coming in. This is exactly the kind of harass play that Celestials can do very well against the Infernals. Now this matchup is supposed to be favored for Infernals right now, and not at my level, but probably at the level of these players. But one way that I think that the Celestials are able to fight back is with this harass style that we've been seeing. Vectors in the base. Now we got Scythes in the base. Not only can they do a lot of damage to these imps, but they actually do really good damage to buildings too, and they might be able to snipe the whole shrine. Now, of course, these gaunts are, well, probably the most efficient kind of anti-air that you can get, largely due to the fact that they don't have to suicide to take out the air units, like the Shadow Flyers, of course, which are also a pretty good anti-air unit, but like I said, due to their suicide nature, it's hard to be super cost effective if you can't blow up on a lot of these sides. These sides are kind of thicker air units, they don't pump up as much. They're getting right on top of the Gaunt. And now we have some Shadow Flyers in the mix. And those Shadow Flyers, while they got some pretty good impacts, there's just not enough of them. And they've unfortunately left some of those sides very low, and they're now healing up from that in this healing camp. Nice little ball army here. We got mostly just brutes and gaunts here. Our gaunts upgraded, but we see they're still missing that Reaper's Rush. So it's going to be interesting to see when that pops up. Let's maybe go check. Very soon, because once they have that Reaper's Rush, they're going to be able to chase down these sides a little bit quicker. And the side's ability to be that mobile on the map is just not going to be as well sustained. Here we have one. This scythe is all by its lonesome. It's mostly Shadow Flyer bait, I think is what we should call that. And again, just a little bit of bait there, trying to get some Shadow Flyers to maybe aggro onto the scythes and sacrifice themselves with no benefit, hopefully, of course. And now it looks like we've got an actual full-on battle going down, with those vectors on the ground actually being taken out, a few new reinforcing ones retreating, Scyther 2 going down as well, and it looks like Yoru is also going to retreat back. Putting down a couple more vaults, and do we have, we have our Twilight Spires, and it looks like we are up to an Elder Shrine. So that means we could have a dragon, as well as our final upgrades for all our units, which might mean the extra speed upgrades for our Fiends. We have Reaper's Rush on deck now. And we have a brute force moving across the map. Although those prisms may have seen what was going on. Now the sides are being joined by some sabers. Great siege unit. I'm glad to see that Celestials are starting to add them more, and of course due to the buffs that they got in the last patch, I think that might be why. I like to see them being used more, of course, unless I'm playing against them, because they do a lot of damage to units, especially when they're target focus firing them like that. And wow, a lot of saber. It's just pretty much mass saber. This is the Starforge play, right? Like, all you need, these are all Starforge units. And boom, I wonder if more vectors should be added to the field of front. Shadow Flyers trying to come in and get some good I was like, what happened to the sabers? They were hiding under the sides, and they used their own little speed boost ability to keep up with the sides. Otherwise, they're pretty slow, and that's what we're seeing right now. And they're kind of being forced to turn and fight, although they're still trying to squeeze away and get into the healing juices of the camp before they turn and fight, because they're forced to by their slow speed. And unfortunately, for Nina, they're all gonna be going down. The sides trying to make their way out, and it looks like Yoru's just pushing Nina back to her base. And again, a nice big army from Yoru. Their supplies are about even. Yoru with about a 20 lot lead now, actually. That's after taking out all those sabers on the sides, so there must have been a sizable lead for Nina beforehand. Now this base looks like it's going down undefended. And the army from Yoru is going to push back in. There are a bunch more sabers there now, a couple of them getting lashed by the Weavers. This lead strike force by the Gaunts all taken out. Now there's some brutes up at the front lines, Weavers at the front lines, and well, nice battle going here. Well, there looks like another force rotating into the main. The Sabres doing a pretty good job of cleaning up some of that front line. Still 2 of them alive, but it looks like more units coming in to reinforce. That's certainly more than those Sabres can deal with. And the size up in the air, there's only 2 of them left. It looks like this base is also going to go down. Yeah, so far going down. We see another base being attacked up here. The strike force in the main takes out a collection array. There's some shadow flight. Well, that's not exactly what you want with stuff. Ooh, a bunch of other prisoners. If you can get on top of those, that would be great. But this natural base has been taken out. And so has this sort of hit base up at the top. Now, this doesn't look great for Nina, but Nina does have this base back here. Now that's mostly power banks. And it looks like some more Star Forges going down, and we do have a Legion Hall, as well as a Creation Chamber. So Nina hoping to buy her way back into this game somehow. We have 1 Therium Purifier with 1 prison down here. Few sides healing up. But getting chased away, and not quite a big enough ball of size to do the kind of harass she might need to get back in this. Instead, camping out over her blast nodes. Now, blast nodes, you know, they are an amazing static P unit, maybe the best static P unit. Although, starting to see these sides go down, and Nina says sides are a scam. Well, I don't know about that. I lose to them a lot, but in this game, they didn't serve Nina very well. Are we going to get a GG out of Nina? Or is she going to make Yoru destroy every one of her power banks? You know, sometimes it's a lot of fun.